Welcome back to DohMance Dawn. I'm Luke. He, him, sometimes they, them, as a treat, and I'm joined by my co-host.
Me, Janine. I use she, they pronouns.
And DohMance Dawn is a podcast where we are recapping One Piece via the anime and looking at contemporary Simpsons episodes based on the Japanese releases of the One Piece episodes. And can I tell you something, Janine?
Tell me something.
Actually, I could change it at this point. Last episode, at least on the initial. Oh wait, no, that was episode 25. Never mind. Fuck. Fuck.
Do you want to start fresh?
No, I don't, because I am just a miserable pile of failures. Can I hear you say failures? Can I hear you say failures?
Failures.
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 uh,
There's a reason why we have a funny little section of our podcast dedicated all for those moments of dough, also known as DohMance.
Mints, yes. I mean, I feel like embracing the failure, finding the fun in it is so much better than getting incredibly anxious about it or like feeling bad about it. I was going to say, yeah, we are now back to using the old theme song because on the last episode that I had edited, which would have been episode 26, because time is screwy, I had realized that I had been using the bad alternate theme song that I did. And it was like, wait, how long have I been using that one? And then it was like, oh, wait. Well, the episode, I basically got myself confused. It's another late night recording. It's been a long day. I walked over 11 and a half miles. Join me in playing Pikmin Bloom.
Also, Luke had just recently woken up from a nap, so not
That was,
everything's all awake right yet.
no, that was like an hour and a half ago. I had like 3 more episodes of Ash vs. the Evil Dead to finish. I appreciate you trying to take a shot for me, but damn it, I'm the human shield. But yes, as I am the Sin Eater on this show, and as we are back to having contemporary Simpsons to cover, this week on DohMance Dawn, we are going to be covering episodes that initially ran from October 12th through November 9th of the year 2003. New Simpsons episodes included Treehouse of Horror 14, yeah, 14, which includes the bit where it's like the Santa Claus for the Grim Reaper. There's the one where John Frank Sr. is resurrected and steals organs, and Milhouse and Bart get the magical stopwatch. And this is important because I think this was one of the first episodes that I talked about with Devin because he had seen it before I had. Back when we were just wee babes in middle school.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It is fascinating that John Frank Sr. did become canon.
I think that the episode was very weird. First of all, I got to say off the bat, I was able to get the Roman numeral 14 like directly, but that's because I play a lot of Final Fantasy 14,
Mm-hmm.
and that number comes up a lot inside the game too. So even without even like looking at the icon, I'll just see 14 like that so much. But that out of the
Adrian's
way.
Revenge.
Sure, yeah. Is that is that the Rocky number from that joke? Was it Rocky
No, I
14?
don't believe that was actually that one.
It feels like they said 8 or something. Anyway, John Frink Sr., played by Jerry Lewis, who is doing a great job showing you what a Jerry Lewis impression is like by being the person it's based off of. It's so weird that they have a character interacting with him that's doing an impression of his character. Like that just blows my mind to me. It's like um Weird Al doing the parody version of a song with the original artist who is then singing the original song at the same time. You know what I mean?
It would be like if Weird Al went and performed Born This Way with Lady Gaga.
Yeah, except he's singing Perform This Way and she's singing Born This Way and it's happening at the same time
Yeah.
live. That yeah.
Did that happen at a music award at some point? I feel like it might have. I could just be imagining realities that never happened.
Honestly,
It wouldn't be surprising
it wouldn't. Lady
because,
Gaga seems like one of the people that would want to perform with Weird Al.
and like Weird Al committed to the bit. Weird Al wore the meat dress. Weird Al did outfit changes for the video, and that was like at the like Weird Al like third renaissance when he went from just being like, oh yeah, he's still around and White and Nerdy was good, to being like, oh, he's been around longer than almost all of the acts who he has parodied, and his music is actually good and respectable. Weird Al.
Weird Al.
Weird Al.
Weird Al. Watch Weird the Al Yankovic story.
Oh yeah, we bought a Roku specifically to watch that, which is probably what they wanted.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised, but I'm glad that Weird Al has buying power for someone, you know?
Yes. Um. Yeah, we get a lot of it. It's an all right treehouse of horror. At least not everything is a direct parody of things. But the other one that we had is My Mother, the Carjacker, where Homer finds his mom's messages to him and helps to get her acquitted. Burns gets her to confess to other crimes she committed, and when Homer tries to save her, she fakes her death a second time. Which also kind of unfortunately becomes her recurring story until she actually dies in a few seasons, which was more of, I feel like they didn't know what to do anymore. But I think Glenn Close is still alive because she went and did another follow up episode set after she had died.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's strange. I mean, like, 'cause The Simpsons has very liquid continuity at some points, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like something as significant as the mother of a main character would be like, more solidified than that. But um what I was really surprised about, because I actually watched these episodes and
Mm-hmm.
they were the first time that I had watched them, is how fast they were. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
presented with an idea and it just immediately picks it up and it moves to like to the next thing of it.
it it's not like Bart's going to the box factory and there's like a whole bunch of minutes before we even get to Bart becoming Krusty's assistant and then Bart becoming famous and yada yada.
Yeah, and it comes at the expense, I think, of like subtle background humor that earlier Simpsons was known for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was surprised exactly like how fast it was going because it pacing is something I notice a lot, especially with modern um, animated series because they're really fighting for our attention. If we also have our phones, I don't even think about it, and I'll start pulling my phone up.
Mm-hmm.
And no, like it was weird. 2003 Simpsons will keep your attention in a TikTok generation, but also it was really edgy. Like I would think that like the late 90s would be like for the peak edge, but it feels like it's just like genuinely here.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by edgy, and it may just be that thing where I've seen these episodes so many times that I don't think about it.
There are subtle jokes, jabs, just like one-off asides that are pretty heavy on things like death.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of like felt out of place because before this I was like watching like a couple of classic Simpsons episodes, so the line deliveries weren't ever so like they would be offhanded, but there was like some story reason behind it. It wasn't like I don't know. Maybe I'm just viewing the past through rose-colored glasses and it's always been mean.
Or maybe like what you expect it to be, like the level that you are comfortable with is not the level that it has transitioned into at this point.
I don't know. I do feel though that once I have more of the Simpsons episodes watched in this era, because we are on season 15 now,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think I'll be able to have like a better formulated experience. This is just kind of like my knee jerk reaction first, like first impressions.
Fair enough. I'll be interested to see how these go for you. Um, yeah, new characters we have unlocked include Charlie Brown Bart, the Grim Reaper, actual scientist Dudley Hirschbach, uh, the thing from the Fantastic Four Homer, Patty Hearst, Patty Hearst, Evil Knievel, Oscar de la Hoya, and Maggie's Bedroom Rat, amongst others. I also started doing live tweets while I watched, and while Frankie X still exists for the episodes, and it's like, yeah, there's some other stuff that I caught that the wikis don't think that the characters are important enough to list. So, uh, look for my weird screen caps, and if you aren't following me, I went into lockdown mode because I'm being good, Luke said ambiguously as to what that refers to. But yeah, we also have some One Piece to cover. So
What episodes?
we're going to be covering episodes 168 through 173, which includes The Python Strikes, The Survival Game Begins,
The life threatening reject. War Demon Wiper's Resolve.
Fierce Sky Battle, Pirate Zora versus Fighter Brahm,
Howling Burn Bazooka. Luffy and War Demon Wiper.
Ordeal of the Swamp, Chopper versus Priest Gidatsu,
The Invincible Ability. Enel's true nature revealed.
and these felt less slow than the last time. I think Satori just takes fucking forever.
There was no reason why he should have been 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Sorry will continue until morale improves. The crew last time reunited and then split, and so we get Zoro, Luffy, Chopper, and Robin heading off together to reach the City of Gold. And immediately you see that timer counting down until they are all inevitably going to get split up and lost, and it's great. Because, I mean, only one of them knows what directions are. And, yeah, it's a recurring bit, Janine. Are you excited?
I mean, yeah. There's more about that stuff that happens later when the actual
Oh,
separation does happen,
fair
but
enough, fair enough.
you know,
I mean, we do get nice bits like Luffy gets a stick and Chopper wants a fun stick too, which is once again Chopper just being a little brother, the sweet small child.
it's in moments like these when the crew just has like just moments interact with each other that they don't know it, but they're all fighting for dominance as my favorite character.
Mhm. uh, Back on the Going Merry, Gonfall shares how Skypia used to be a peaceful island where the Skypians treasured anything that came up from the Blue Sea that was brought by the knockup stream. And when the Upper Yard got brought up, the Shandorians who lived there and the Skypians started fighting over the land. And when he became god, Gonfall tried to make peace and stop the Skypians, but Wiper was like, "Yeah, no, it's been a couple hundred years, buddy. We want blood," which is reasonable. Like, how do you make amends for genocide and land theft?
It really raises that question, and I wasn't expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when anime does this kind of like using Native American imagery, that's usually it.
Mm-hmm.
It is just like, just skin deep for whatever that they could be able to have for like the aesthetic. So, they could be able to have some nature based people, but they actually like kind of went into it, which I appreciate, you know.
I don't think they thread the needle enough in the end.
I really don't think that there was going to be able to, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
They
get
try.
presenting that kind of idea and that dilemma to um in its original broadcast, so only being presented to Japanese audiences, it's an interesting concept that I think other people should be able to look at the effects of, colonization.
And I mean, it's not like Japan has a indigenous population in the northern part of the islands who is similarly persecuted by a government that does not consider themselves to be, uh, who does not consider that group to be equal to them.
And it's not like Japan itself has not done similar
Yeah, yeah,
to other different outside nations as well.
yeah. We have fun here on DohMance Dawn. But then 6 years ago, Enel came from another sky island and took over enslaved Gonfal's divine warriors. And so now the Shandorians still hate everybody else who is up in their land, and the Skypians are still afraid of Enel, and he uses that fear to control them. Also, Gonfal doesn't know what gold is. Wiper, meanwhile, decides that he and his boys are going to go and risk it all to take down Enel at God's Shrine. And Luffy's team encounters Nola, a giant snake that tries to eat them. And that is when they end up getting split into the forest, and only Robin really continues to go in the right direction. Is this where
I
you wanted to?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
this was probably a really they all get separated for various own different reasons, but hearing their understanding of directions and how they're going to get there can just really just show like, oh, this is why you get lost all the time.
I feel like I shared the story before about how my brother got half of the Boy Scout troop lost with the maps and compasses.
Oh,
Did I not share that on the show?
not yet, but we definitely
Uh,
have time now.
so I was in the Boy Scouts along with my brother, who's 5 years older than me, and we went on a navigation weekend where the whole thing was going to be Saturday. You're going to get maps and compasses, and you have to find your way back using your navigation skills. My brother led the group that he was leading outside of the park, and they ended up having to get a ride in the back of a pickup truck from a random person who lived out in the woods because they were so lost.
Wow, that could have ended a lot differently.
I mean, I feel like there were enough scouts there, and a lot of them were pretty rowdy that if a gun was pulled, it probably wouldn't have worked out well. But yeah, yeah. So for years, my brother's navigation skills have been tainted by that experience. And meanwhile, my group was just like, "Oh, hey, they left a catapult here. Let's just chuck rocks and shit into the woods with it." It was great. Yeah, getting lost is easy, and it's a lot easier when you're a dumbass. So back on the Going Merry, Gonfall explains how people on the Cloud Islands use dials to fight, and it's called Sky Warfare. And I think the Sky Warfare is cool, and it's also kind of a perfect example of any technology that can be used for non-warfare purposes can probably also be used for warfare purposes.
Yep. I was um I was exhausted by the end of the different dials that were all introduced because it's like, oh yeah, of course that would work. That would also be a thing. That could also be a thing. And
Mm-hmm.
by the end of it, it was just like these are the tools. This is the world building that you could be able to use to start off another anime. I don't think you should because I think the setting would fall apart if you try to push any more episodes than are probably necessary.
I mean, it's not My Hero Academia where they've had like a few spin-offs now. Um, but yeah, like the dial stuff is going to keep coming back, and it's going to be something that's kind of like, yeah, no, that makes sense on how that would further advance things. Enel, meanwhile, uses his mantra to count the people who are fighting and estimates that after 3 hours, only 5 of the 81 fighters are going to be left. And I think that 81 is a bullshit number because it feels like there's a whole lot more Shandorians.
Yeah, I feel like I saw like a lot of them in different scenes and even the divine warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys,
There's explicitly 50 of them.
there is, but like there like a couple of frames of just like a bunch of them getting their asses kicked and it's just like okay, like well probably counting up all of them that I've seen so far, which is probably gonna be like maybe more in the 60s or 70s.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Enel is just counting the people who still were up at that point. So the Shandorian warriors end up getting caught inside Shura's ordeal of string, except for Wiper, who held back. he tricks Shura into coming in close and then uses a reject dial, which is a stronger form of the impact dial, which almost destroys Viper's arm, but it knocks out Shura, and that frees the Shandorians. And like, Viper is a. I appreciate that Viper is kind of a one note character, but in a way where that's very much a result of his will and determination in his beliefs.
I like his hair.
Yeah, his hair is cool. And also, I mean, he rides on a skateboard and carries a bazooka. In the One Piece Pirate Warriors games, it's been disappointing in the past two because the most recent one doesn't even have Wiper in it because they kind of focus on the second half of the series specifically, but the one before just has Viper as a support character or like a NPC who it's just like, you have to go and beat up Viper. And it's like, no, let me play as Viper and beat up other people. Let me let me be Viper and beat up Don Krieg. Because you can play as Don Krieg in that one. The 50 Divine Warriors, led by Yama, descend onto the battlefield and start battling with axe styles, which they specifically note are not from these Sky Islands. And they start taking down other Shandorians. One of these warriors tries to fight Luffy, but Luffy just knocks them out before running into Viper, who's like, all right, well, I'm going to murder you now. Viper starts off firing explosive shells at Luffy, who just bounces them off. And so then Viper's just like, okay, I'm going to switch what my bazooka does. It uses it to make a fucking flamethrower. And Luffy avoids the blast and tries to fight Viper. And as the fight expands into the forest, Luffy suddenly vanishes in some sort of hole, and Viper moves on. Oh, Luffy. Chopper runs through the woods because he is chased and frightened by both the Divine Warriors and the Shandorians who are fighting. And meanwhile, Robin made her way to the ruins, and a Divine Warrior disrespects him, so she just snaps his fucking neck. Hooray for Robin. Hooray for preservation of information.
I mean, like, I had a feeling, yeah, with everything that she did, especially with Crocodile, that there's blood on her hands too. But there's a lot of like death that happens like on screen on some of these episodes, and it's kind of brutal.
I mean, it's war. Like, it is a brutal war. Some characters are specifically not killed, or they will be defined as not being killed later. And one of them suffers the most what the fuck fate, and I will get to that in a bit. Brahm runs into Zoro and starts shooting at him with light guns that both have light and also shoot bullets, and that threatens to blind Zoro, putting him on the defensive, especially since Brahm has shoes that allow him to fly. I always forget about the Brahm fight because it's kind of insignificant. Like, Zoro just picks up a new move at the end. But it's like, no, Brahm is pretty cool. Like, he's got those cool cloud shoes, and he's got his cool guns, and
Yeah,
Zoro.
you could see a guy like this just kind of like just being in another anime, no problem.
Mm-hmm. So Zoro tries to pretend that his goggles are sunglasses to trick Brahm into not using the guns, and Zoro does not sell it at all, which is beautiful. It's having the fighter try and use a deception roll. And Brahm's like, all right, well, you can just stand down. And instead, Zoro's just like, no, I've got a new technique, the single sword style 36 caliber Phoenix, where he just swings a single sword with enough force, and that knocks Brahm out. And it's like, sure, Zoro, Sure. Oh. Enel then descends down to the Going Merry, knocking out Sanji before we even really see anything. Usopp tries to scare him off with lies and gets knocked out too, and Enel's just like, hey, Gonfall, I came to tell you that your former divine warriors are being freed since their work is done. I'm going to go to the Gold City once I win this survival game. That's my impression of the American Enel voice. It's kind of smarmy.
Ah, I've been watching it subbed.
I know. And Ginbo, meanwhile, runs into Yama. Ginbo is using iron cannonballs, which they make a note that it's like, oh yeah, I guess nobody in Skypiea knows what metal is. And Yama is able to knock these cannonballs back into Ginbo, and then just smashes him with the full force of his big boy body. Which, R.I.P. Ginbo. Chopper then wanders into the ruins, and Gidatsu can't see him because his eyes are rolled into the back of his head. When he fixes his eyes, because he gets reminded, he tracks down Chopper, but he routinely just forgets to function as a human. Just like he loses complete, like, his full sense of himself, which is both endearing and horrifying.
It is.
So he starts using his Milky Dials to fly around and create cloud traps, including the Swamp Cloud Burger, and ends up tossing one of them at his divine warrior who is working with him. Chopper feels bad, saves the warrior, and the warrior's like, all right, well, you saved me, so I'm going to kill Gidatsu. And then instead, Gidatsu just kills the warrior. So Chopper pops a rumble ball, goes on the run, and Gidatsu follows close behind him and smashes him. While Chopper is beaten up by that hit, he refuses to give up, steals one of Gidatsu's boots, throws him off balance, and then hits him. Gidatsu falls into one of his swamp cloud traps upside down, swims through the cloud with a Milky Dial, and is never seen again in the anime.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to know what happens to Gidatsu in a
I
story that is.
There's more?
Yes.
Sure.
Through accident and coincidence, he ends up as a business partner with Goro, who is Koza's uncle, and helps him to open up a hot spring resort.
Who is Goro again?
Goro is Koza's uncle, who we have not actually seen in the anime and never seen the anime.
Oh, okay. And where is he doing this?
On a island.
In the Blue Sea?
Yeah.
So he just went like fucking straight through it.
Yeah.
Huh.
He joins a bunch of other bosses to help set up the hot springs, and then it's just like, oh, hey, here's Koza and Toto, and it turns out that this guy is Toto's brother, which makes him Koza's uncle. They have now opened a hot spring, and they now have a tunnel that goes through the earth from Alabasta to the hot spring.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and then a bunch of Alabasta characters show up and go there.
Well, I'm glad he's living well. I was sure that he was just like had
Dead?
the most unfortunate death ever.
No. The names of the four priests are all like representative or representations of different uh like concepts of like souls and faith and stuff. And Gadatsu is kind of the idea of soul liberation, which doesn't fully follow the character, but it is kind of like, oh, well, if his soul is kind of free, that explains how he escapes Skypiea.
Huh.
It's kind of bullshit, but it's like if I had said that Gadatsu opens up a hot spring with Koza's uncle, and then I said April Fools, I don't think you would have doubted it. uh,
One Piece has a funny way of just
you
having the
never know.
strangest thing happen. Yeah, I mean,
You
I really don't. Like, you have said things before that still have not come to pass, that at this point, I can't even think of, meaning that I probably have, like, legit forgot about it, and it's still going to be a surprise when it comes up.
Apollo with the dodgeball.
Exactly.
Uh, Niga Robin is surveying the ruins, and that's when Niyama finds her and attacks, which damages the ruins, and that angers Robin, and we don't really get a conclusion there. Back on the Going Merry, the twins Hattori and Katori have appeared to avenge Satori, their brother, and Nami and Gonfall are trying to protect their crewmates, but the twins literally just keep attacking their unconscious bodies. And each of them has two different dials, and they work on confusing them. And eventually, they kind of knock them back enough so that Gonfall has Nami get the gauntlet. And using the Climatact and the Impact dial that is in Gonfall's gauntlet, she is able to defeat them with Gonfall's help. And Gonfall's like, all right, well, I'm good enough now. I need to find out what happened to my old Divine Squadron. So I'm leaving with Pierre. Nami's like, please don't. And he just flies off. Good times.
Yeah.
I do also appreciate that Nami got to kick some ass again.
I do too. I mean, she did a very good job of using her head because she's able to understand weather in a way that I don't think exists.
I feel like it's very rudimentary understanding. Like, there's other manga where it's like, and thanks to our science consultant for giving us this information. And One Piece doesn't really get that. Isa, meanwhile, the young Shandorian girl, is riding a wafer that breaks down in the middle of the White Sea. She gets attacked by a skyfish, but that is when Konus and Pagia end up saving her, and she asks them to take her to the upper yard. On the way, they run into the Going Merry, and Pagia reveals that they've made a new path that the Merry can use to escape using a Milky Dial, and they've also repaired the waver for Nami. Enel then appears before Kamakiri, and Kamakiri attacks him with a spear that goes straight through Enel's body, electrocuting Kamakiri because Enel is living lightning. Kamakiri keeps trying to attack with no effect, and he's kind of like, oh shit, if Wiper's planning to like sacrifice his body to try and kill him, that's not going to work. But Kamakiri gets struck. That lightning hits the Milky Road, knocking out another 20 people, and we are down to 25 out of the 81 fighters remaining in the survival game, as Enel wonders who will come with him. And Luffy, meanwhile, is lost in a mysterious cave, which he thinks might be the lost city of gold just because he found a gold necklace. One Piece!
Yes, he found One Piece.
Oh, fucking Satori. So we have 5 characters to match this week. So are you ready, Janine?
Sure.
Up first, we have big ol' Snake, Nola, New Orleans, Louisiana. And I have two suggestions for Nola. The first is my Rodrigo style, which is the brain cow when Homer just starts imagining a cow playing the ukulele, just because I think that would make a good head for the snake. And the other is the pacifier snake, which, Janine, did you heed my warning in the DohMance Discord?
Yeah.
Okay, now you can look at that image that I had spoiled.
All right, while I pull that up, you can tell them how they can get to the Discord.
Uh, just look on the Twitter and we'll usually link it, or you can message.
Ah, yeah, that's the. Yeah, I see it now. It's from Whacking Day.
Uh huh. It's a snake with a pacifier. It's a blue snake. I enjoy that snake. It's just like that's some good snake energy.
That's a good snake.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
You got some suggestions?
I have one suggestion,
Uh huh.
and that is Lumpy,
Mm-hmm.
the class snake.
The one that eventually eats Bart.
Millhouse, I think. Was it Bart?
Uh, King Atticus had suggested the anaconda that eats Bart. There might be multiple snakes that have eaten people. It's a good visual. But oh, what's this?
Pere, 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 pere. Pere, 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 pere.
We've got some fan suggestions. Joe Cheney suggested Jub Jub, who I think we might have used before.
Do you believe that we have used them as a dragon?
Yeah, Grandpa Ryu.
Yes.
Fucking Grandpa Ryu. Magic, the Simpsoning, suggested the hallucination snake from the Insanity Pepper.
That's a good one too.
Mm-hmm. That one welder guy suggested Captain Jack, the crocodile that they hit in the Florida episode. And then King Atticus is trying to shoot the moon here with 3 suggestions. They suggested Jeremy Jailbird, the anaconda that eats Bart, which might be Lumpy, and then Slithers, which is the snake Smithers from the Harry Potter parody. Let's settle the Lumpy situation. No teacher could be held accountable if the snake ate Milhouse Van Houten. And yeah, that was from Wiki Simpsons. Let's see if the Simpsons fandom has any more information. It also ate Todd and Janie. You know, I'm good to go with Lumpy Janine. I think
Awesome.
Lumpy is a good pick.
Nice.
I could have argued for Pacifier Snake, but I won't. Up next, we have Shandia Chief, who is not given a name. He does have a weird Skywolf headdress. Who do you have for Shandia Chief?
I am trying to get Tribal Chief off our docket.
Well, I have 3 suggestions. My Rodrigo style, just because I needed something, was actual Dr. Dudley Hirschbach. Actually, wait, is Dudley Hirschbach a doctor? It'd be weird if he did not have a doctorate. Early life and education. Okay, yes, he does seem to be a actual doctor. So, yes, he got his PhD in 1958. Wow, and he's still kicking. So far, I hope I've not doomed him. I also had the Snoopy mascot from the OC parody,
Okay.
and Speedy Alka Seltzer Grandpa, which was one of the recent ones where I was just taking screen caps and was like, this might be helpful. It's basically Grandpa in a bedpan, and I was just trying to go for headgear. So I feel like that's the big thing for Shandy Chief, Old Man, and headgear.
So, what are your feelings right now? Who do you feel the strongest for amongst your picks?
I feel like actually no, I'm good to use Tribal Chief.
All right, glad to have that one off our hands.
High five. We then have Isa, who's Ace's mother, who doesn't really get much to do beyond to be with baby. My Rodrigo style is just the gender swapped Homer that we got at the end of the Clock Stoppers one. And also, I had Crying Baby's mother, the mother who has the baby that inspires Herbert Powell to make the baby translator. Who do you have, Janine?
I went for the ballet teacher voiced by Susan Sarandon that teaches Bart how to ballet in the episode Homer versus Patty and Selma.
Excuse me. I'm going to argue for Crying Baby's mother here. Because gender swapped Homer is just kind of a throwaway, but I feel like ballet teacher may have more important uses at some further point.
You going to Uterpile somebody whose only claim to fame was being voiced by Susan Sarandon?
But she has a very specific job as a dance teacher and a ballet teacher. And we've already seen someone who fights with ballet kento.
Okay, got me there. I never thought I would live to see the day to see a ballet teacher get Uterpiled, but I am fine with Crying Baby's mother.
I mean, on the image gallery, one of those images, she is literally just a crying baby's mother. We then have Hotori and Kotori, and
I have package deals on both of them, so.
Me too. All right, I am excited, Janine. Yeah, 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 yeah. Who do you have?
All right, I have first and foremost, Mr. and Mrs. Zorker, which we have seen in the episode Look Who's Coming to Criticize Dinner.
Luther's parents.
Yes. And then I also have Repo Man 1 and 2. They were the ones that had repoed the sensory deprivation tank that Homer was inside of, that took him on a strange journey.
So you could have convinced me had we not uh, not used Freddy Boy for our Satori, because I had Uter as a suggestion there. My Rodrigo style, just for a weird pick, was Charlie Brown Bart and Lucy Van Pelt Lisa, which is literally just a throwaway, but I needed a pairing.
Right, right.
The actual ones that I had wanted, and I'd forgotten my initial suggestion for Satori, apparently, when we actually did that episode, because I was going to suggest John Swartzwelder there. Because he would have made a good pairing with these twins that I have in my mind, which are the McGuire twins, who you may also know as the obese twins on motorcycles who make several recurring just gag shots in The Simpsons.
Okay.
At one point, I believe Lionel Hutz brings them in as surprise witnesses.
That makes sense. I think I know what you mean. In my mind's eye, I can almost see it.
Mm-hmm. They were also apparently wrestlers, because tonight I was like, that's who I want to use. I don't actually know anything about the folks who are used in this, but apparently their gravestone has the image of the two of them on motorcycles, and they were wrestlers, so.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised I didn't end up seeing them on different wrestlers list when we had that one wrestler we were looking for.
Oh, I didn't know they were wrestlers. Until tonight. They had just become a mimetic image. Something losing its initial meaning and reference the longer that time goes on. Like Bugs Bunny eating carrots in the way that he eats carrots.
Did you have any other choices, by the way? Or just them? And your Rodrigo style?
Just them in my Rodrigo style.
I would be fine going with the McGuire twins, but I personally think that should only count as one. Because you are getting both of them in a packaged character and not like
so
doing
it
like
doesn't
individual like you're not doing like I want like Hotori as this McGuire twin and Kotori as this McGuire twin. I think that packaging it that way, and plus it would tie the board for this episode.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I'm not going to get persnickety about it. I'm just happy that I got a good pick that I cared about on the board. And that I saved the ballet teacher. You gotta save the ballet teacher, Janine. You know why?
Why is that?
Smooching.
Okay. Personally, I'm happy with being able to get my choice of Lumpy going through, so
Well,
it's the small joys you could be able to get by finding small part characters from one series and pasting them onto the small part characters of another series.
True. Well then. We got known as Lumpy Shandaria Chief is next as Tribal Chief. And Isa is a crying baby's mother, and Hodori and Kotori are the McGuire twins. Yeah! Boy! How did you like my bad recap rap? I kind of think that was a piece of crap.
I think everybody's gonna have to get used to it because that's how we do it from now on.
It's. I mean, I think I'll do it if I feel up
No,
to it.
you're gonna do it like that every single time.
I'm gonna bend it like Bacam. Janine,
Yes.
if people wish to witness you upon the internet, where might they do that?
They might be able to do that over at Hive. If anybody is using Hive, if there's a separate app, let me know. And low key, I'm thinking about maybe getting a Twitter again. Who knows? I still want to stay mentally sane, so I don't really want to indulge too deep into it. But I think I'm in a better spot that I don't get so in it. Wow, this part where I get to talk is getting way too long, and I haven't even mentioned yet that you could be able to find me. You can find me at Instagram at Janine is dope. You can also find me at various Luke Hair podcast productions that are also dope, and also another word that rhymes with dope.
Soap, hope, grope, trope, cope,
Trope would have
hope.
been good actually, with what we do with media announcements. Oh, also, um, watch this space because more to come later on my own personal projects. Luke, where can they find you?
Uh, you can find me on Twitter at @Koltreg. That's KOLTREG. I have also started moving from Gumroad to itch.io, so there's a koltreg.itch.io. And yeah, that's kind of it. I am this should be going up on the 17th. So by the time that the next episode would go up, but not by the time that we've recorded it, I will be in the process of getting married. April's going to be a wild month for me, my friends, my listeners, my parasocial engagement folks. So once that's done, I am working on setting up the next steps in the Luke Hair empire, but that's kind of it for right now. Shout out to Mike Padden, who is our cover artist. You can find them at PATTENPENDING, Padden Pending, on Instagram. And yeah, DohMance Dawn. We update every 2 weeks on Monday mornings, as long as I remember to get the update in. Go to DohMance Dawn, which is our website, which is a Tumblr. Please like and share things. Oh, there is a Facebook uh, page that I started for the show as well, and also we have the Discord. That's I think it. If you enjoy the show, leave us ratings. Yeah, it's late. It's been a long day. I think that's kind of everything. Next time, more fighting, and let me see what those titles are because I have so many sheets in advance. Oh, yeah. Uh, Next time we get a cage barbed wire death match.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah. We'll see you then. Safe sailing.